We're live. Are we live yet? There's always a little spinning thing that doesn't let me know when exactly it is, but hello. This is Daniel Jacob Horine. I am the artist behind Popfly Pop Shop, and I decided to do a quick live chat about this week's print, which is the Toy Cannon. And I did one of these earlier. It didn't work out so well. Now I have figured out my software, and here is new and improved 2.0 version of this. But feel free to leave comments in the chat. This is broadcasting to several programs or several platforms, I should say. And I'm going to dive into a little bit of the why behind the what, kind of how this print came to be. So this is the print for the week, the Toy Cannon. One of the most previously underrated players in Major League Baseball, Jim Wynn or Jimmy Wynn. Now that we have new metrics, modern metrics that weren't around when he was playing, a lot of folks are realizing just how good Jimmy Wynn was. Now that we're able to evaluate different parameters, so here is the talk about this one. Now I've been wanting to do this for a long time. The Toy Cannon print. It's one of the best nicknames in all of baseball, and certainly one of my favorites. And so for almost as long as the project has been around, I've wondered, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? So let me take you through some of my sketches and talk you through some of my thought process that led to what you see here on the screen. So, and thinking about it, originally, let me go forward a couple. This is a very, very loose sketch, as you can tell. These really aren't meant to show people. It's really meant for me to sort of talk through my ideas here, visually talk through my ideas. And if you have any questions as I go, please pop them in the chat. But these are called thumbnails, and I do as many thumbnails as I can to sort of get through the ideas, because most often the first idea is not the best idea. It's usually the most cliche. The first place you go is probably the first place a lot of people would go in their minds. So I want to get through those ideas to get through something that to get through the predictable, to get to the novel. So here is me sort of thinking it through. I think this is one of the first ones. I think this is the first sketch that I did. Again, these are for me to inform my process, not necessarily to show everyone else. So it is certainly not fleshed out. And as an artist doing thumbnails, I like to draw really small. I keep my canvas really small so that I'm not tempted to dive into the seductive details of this and get distracted on how it looks. It's just getting the ideas out, getting through those. I'll call them, I don't call them bad ideas, but getting through those predictable ideas to get to the novel. So as I was thinking about this, I've been thinking about this for a lot longer than I have been, I had created it. I envisioned, maybe a baseball scene similar to what you see here. You have a cannon in the batter's box with a dismayed pitcher with a baseball going over their head. So that was one of the first things I had thought of. There's another little bit more refined idea about that. So not really showing Jimmy Wynn in the print, but him being kind of transformed as a cannon there. Very, very literal visual translation of that. And so that's where I had got going. Then I got to thinking about transformations. I used the transformation in my language just now. That was also part of my my thoughts as I was going. Once I logged onto the word transformation, I then thought about the comic books that refer to transformation or making something that wasn't there. I think about the Bruce Banner to Hulk transformation. So I started looking in there. What does it look like? What is some of the visual language that's used in comics when a character is transforming? So that's sort of what's behind this sketch here. Is just, again, it's very loose because it was meant to inform me, not to really communicate in any complete way to you looking at this. So in here I'm seeing like a Jimmy Wynn type character as the biggest piece, and then transforming down to a small cannon there. Here's another just idea, almost reflecting the panels of a comic book, showing, Jimmy Wynn in the left top panel. Then as we go closer to the right, we see he's transformed into a cannon. Each kind of panel would be a progression of him turning from human to cannon, and then the bottom one would be just the cannon shooting out a baseball. I like this idea, but it just didn't. It wasn't quite there. But then I came upon this picture right here in my research. Here's a later career win on the Dodgers, and that was once I saw this picture, it all clicked for me. All the gears came into place, because when I saw this picture, it occurred to me just how much he in particular looked like a cannon. Now, I don't think I doubt his swing was meant to, what was thought to look like a cannon when he was playing. I don't think that's where the name came from. But when I saw this mid-swing, how just perpendicular that eye line, the wrist, and that bat was, I'm like, it's really struck me just how much he looks like a cannon right here. You can see, I know you can't see where I'm pointing here, but you've got the barrel of that cannon kind of mimicked here by those arms and that straight bat, and that leg there, that front leg at an almost 90-degree angle, almost like that the counterbalance of a cannon. Or you can interpret it as the big wheels of the cannon, just kind of keeping it steady. But his position right here was so cannon-like that this is where I take this. So I'm going to make Jimmy Wynn a cannon and really lean on this position as sort of my guiding light here. So I'm jumping around a little bit, but so then I got to here. So here is a kind of more explosive version of the piece here, or at least the sketch. And I've got the outline of that cannon that I've superimposed on Jimmy Wynn here to try to drive home that point of, he looks like a cannon when he swings. And to take it a little bit further, make it a little bit more dynamic, here's another take on that. And what I liked about this is the slight shift up and to the right. So now that cannon is looking like it's firing over your head. When it's straight out like that, it's looking like it's like you would maybe interpret it as a line drive, maybe. But that giving it that little tilt gave it a little bit of uplift. And maybe it's the perspective in some way of a pitcher or an outfielder, infielder, whatever, watching that ball go over your head. So that was really those little subtle tricks I used to help, not to pun not intended, but to uplift the piece here. So let me go back a little bit to my artboard here. So here's my artboard of the finished product. And normally I might have a couple more kind of variations going on here, but I was able to get to closer to the finished product without doing too many iterations on the digital artboard here. You can see that I was playing with some of the language. They've got a little sign here. So on my finished piece, it said 5'9", and what does it say? But even the Astrodome could not contain him or confine him. There's a little bit different language there in that other banner there. I tried a couple different pieces of what do you call onomatopoeia for the language there. Pop, bablam, boom, kaboom. To make it feel right. I had a Ellis Valentine piece, the Human Howitzer. I used I think kaboom for that one, and I used bablam to sort of differentiate it from that, because in some ways you can see them as a parallel. They're baseball players kind of augmented by artillery. So so I wanted to differentiate it as much as I could from that one. And so from here, we got the finished product. And I know it's really easy. They do it on cooking shows a lot to say, "Oh, here's all the ingredients. Put in a bowl and finished product. Voila." I did a quick little capture of the process to make this, um, at least the illustration side of things, and I'll talk through that as this plays. So there's that classic image that I had mentioned earlier with about the Dodgers pose, but I had found another image that where I liked the subtle uplift and clarity of his upper half. So I combined it with that lower stable part of the Dodgers pose and combined it with the slight uplift and clearer top image. You've got his hands more clear. You've got a clearer view of the face, and you can see there, right there, that perfect perpendicular angle. I tilted it upward just a little bit, and again with the final piece, I also tilted the composition just to give it that lift. You want to feel that ball kaboom go over your head, not kaboom into the outfield. And let's see. So here I'm bringing in a cannon here, giving some explosion there. I'm bringing in a cannon here to sort of play my way around this. Not really knowing how I'm going to ultimately put this together. I put this together in layers. So we've got the wheel as one layer, the counterbalance as another, then Jimmy Wynn as the third layer, and then the other side of the counterbalance, then the wheel. And so that way I had a little bit more leeway to play with my composition. I was able to keep the cannon where I wanted it in terms of location, but also adjust Jimmy to once I got him like on the final artboard there. So here I am drawing the details there. And also originally I was going to have a more kind of, I don't want to call it maybe atmospheric or transparent or some kind of suggestion of a cannon, maybe more so than an actual cannon there. So that's why you've got the blue there. I was going to maybe do some cosmic rays there or something like that. But that's why that's blue. But ultimately I decided to go through and I redid his face, and I also redid the coloring of that cannon to root it more in his reality. So he was part of the cannon rather than it being like a some sort of, I don't know, ethereal thing there. And there I am finishing out some details, making the legs a little bit lighter than I had originally had them, so that you can see them over the background of the cannon. And there we go, back to our finished product. So there you can see I did straighten out his swing, if you can notice that. In the original, it was upticked a little bit more. When I did the composition, I made it more perpendicular to the horizon line, like almost like the original photo did. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of having some flexibility in the composition stage. And here's the big secret about Popfly. Yes, it's an illustration based project, but really the majority of the time is spent in the composition of it and the layout. And so it's very much a graphic design project as much as it is, or maybe even more so, than an illustration project, because it's bringing all these elements in and these thoughts, these concepts, and also the other ingredient of, as my old boss taught me this word, verisimilitude, that it's believable, that this felt like a comic book that you would have picked up as a kid. One of the best compliments that I get on these pieces is like, where did someone will see it for a moment and say, oh, when did that come out? I don't remember seeing that. So that means I got the visual language correct. So there's a lot of finesse that goes in there. There's the overall artistic composition, but then there's the words, the text, the copy, how it all lays together. Does it feel authentic? So there's a lot of different levers that I'm pulling as I'm doing this to make it feel right, to make it feel believable, to have verisimilitude. That's the new word of the day. Scream if you hear it next time. Oh, I got a heart for that. So we learned something today. Anyway, so there's a lot of different moving pieces here. And hopefully it all looks effortless. Hopefully it just looks like, oh, this is how it goes. Please pop a question in the chat if you have one. I'm about to go pick up my kid from school in a few minutes. So anyway, so this one is on sale. Again, to wrap it all up, my name is Daniel Jacob Horine. I'm the artist behind Popfly Pop Shop. And this week's piece, my 102nd Popfly print, is available now until next Sunday, the Sunday after this streams. After that, it is retired forever, and it won't be reprinted again. So if you're going to get it, now's your opportunity. After that, print run is locked and the secondary market. Had to get this because he was my all-time favorite nickname. Yeah, this, if you go through any top 10, top 20 lists of nicknames, 100% the Toy Cannon is going to be there. And they also have a lot of times in those lists, I feel like there's not there's a lot of classic names in there, only in there because they're classic, not because they're great nicknames. This nickname plus Death to Flying Things is another fantastic nickname, ones that really stick out. And so in doing my research, Jimmy Wynn absolutely stuck out as like, oh, I got to do this. And I hope to one day to get to Death to Flying Things. And oddly enough, that more than one player shared the nickname Death to Flying Things. But thank you so much. Oil Can Boyd, you're absolutely right. Ed Granger. When I write the book, I'll talk about Oil Can Boyd. If there's ever a book, hopefully. But he's certainly a nickname that I loved as a kid and love now, and trying to get a hold of Oil Can Boyd, hopefully to make him on a Popfly. But how can I do this project that leans so heavily on nicknames and not have Oil Can Boyd? So anyway, so that's it. Unless there's any last minute questions, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much again. popflypopshop.com. The Toy Cannon piece is available for the rest of the week, only a few more days, and then it is retired forever. Thank you so much for following the journey. I appreciate you. I appreciate the support, and looking forward to what is print 103, 104, and so on. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me on the journey, and take care and enjoy October baseball. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a lovely one. Bye.